everyone. My name is Aysal, and I hope that everyone watching this is having a great day or night. Today we are reading bedtime stories, perfect for sharing, and they are by Miley Kelly. So let's start. The Fish and the Ring by Flora Annie Steele. Once upon a time there lived a baron who was a great magician, and he could tell by his arts and charms absolutely everything that was going to happen at any time. Now this great lord had a little son born to him, as heir to all his castles and lands. So when the little lad was about 4 years old, wishing to know what his fortune would be, the baron looked in his book of fate to see what it would foretold. And lo and behold, it was written that his much loved and much prized heir to all the great lands and castles was to marry a low-born maiden. The baron was dismayed. He wanted his son to marry a royal. So he set to work by more arts and charms to discover if this maiden were already born, and if so, where she lived. And he found out that she had just been born in a very poor house, where the poor parents already had 5 children. So he called for his horse, and he rode far away until he came to the poor man's house. And there he found the poor man sitting at his doorstep, extremely saddened and doleful. "What's the matter, my friend?" asked he, and the poor man replied, "May it please your honor, a little lass has just been born to our house, and we have 5 children already, and where the bread is to come to fill the 6th mouth, we know not." "If that be all your trouble," said the baron readily, "maybe I can help you. So don't be downhearted. I am just looking for such a little lass to be a companion to my son. So, if you will, I will give you 10 crowns for her." Well, the man sat and he thought for a while. He didn't want to be apart from his baby, but he needed the money badly. So he stood up and he shook the baron's hand, glad that his daughter was going to a good home, or so he thought. Therefore, he brought out the child then and there, and the baron, wrapping the baby in his cloak, took her and rode away. But as soon as he got into the river, he flung the little thing into the swollen stream, and said to himself as he galloped back to the castle, "There goes fate." But you see, he was mistaken, for the little lass didn't sink. The stream was very swift, and her long clothes kept her up till she caught in a snag just opposite of a fisherman, who was mending his nets. Now this fisherman and his wife had no children, and they were just longing for a baby. So when the good man saw the little lass, he was overcome with joy, and took her home to his wife, who received her with open arms. And there she grew up, the apple of their eyes, into the most beautiful maiden that ever was seen. Now, when she was about 15 years of age, it so happened that the baron and his friends went hunting along the banks of the river, and stopped to get a drink of water at the fisherman's hut. And who should bring the water out but, as they thought, the fisherman's daughter. They noticed her beauty, and one of them said to the baron, "She should marry well. Read us her fate, since you are so learned in the art." The baron, scarce in looking at her, said carelessly, "I could guess her fate, some wretched yokel. But to please you, I will cast her horoscope by the stars. So tell me, little girl, what day were you born?" "That I cannot tell, sir," replied the girl, "for I was picked up in the river about 15 years ago." Then the baron grew pale, for he guessed at once that she was the little lass he had flung into the stream, and that fate had been stronger than he was. But he said nothing at that time. Afterwards, however, he thought out a plan. So he rode back and gave the little girl a letter. "See you," he said. "I will make your fortune. Take this letter to my brother, who needs a good girl, and you will be settled for life." Now the fisherman and his wife were growing old and needed help. So the girl said she would go, and took the letter. The Baron rode and rode back to his castle, saying to himself once again, "There goes fate." For what he had written in the letter was this: "Dear brother, take the bearer and put her to death immediately." But once again he was sorely mistaken, since on the way to the town where his brother lived, the girl had to stop the night in a little inn. And it so happened that that very night a gang of thieves had broken into the inn, and not content with their carrying off all the innkeeper possessed, they searched and searched the pockets of the guest, and found the letter, which the girl carried. And when they read it, they agreed that it was a mean trick and a shame. So their captain sat down, and taking a pen and paper, wrote instead, "Dear brother, take the bearer and marry her to my son without delay." Then, after putting the note into an envelope and sealing it up, they gave it to the girl and bade her to go on her way. So when she finally arrived at the brother's castle, though rather surprised, he gave orders for a wedding feast to be prepared. And the Baron's son, who was staying with his uncle, seeing the girl's great beauty, was not unwilling. So they were quickly married. Well, when the news was brought to the Baron, he was beside himself, but he was determined not to be outdone by fate once again. So he rode quickly to his brothers and pretended to be quite pleased. And then one day, when no one was near, he asked the young bride to come for a walk with him. And when they were close to some cliffs, seized hold of her and was throwing her over into the sea. But she begged and begged hard for her life. "It is not my fault," she said. "I have done nothing. It is fate. But if you will spare my life, I promise that I will fight against fate too. I will never see you or your son again until you desire it. That will be safer for you, since, see you, the sea might preserve me, as the river did." Well, the Baron agreed to this. So he took off his gold ring from his finger and flung it over the cliffs into the sea, and said, "Never dare to show me your face again till you can show me that ring likewise." And with that, he let her go. Well, the girl wandered and wandered on, and she wandered on, until she came to a nobleman's castle. And there, as they needed a kitchen girl, she took work. Now one day, as she was cleaning a big fish, she looked out of the kitchen window, and who should she see driving up to dinner but the Baron and his young son, her husband. She was about to run away when she remembered that they would not see her in the kitchen. So she went on cleaning the fish, and lo and behold, she saw something shine in its inside. There, sure enough, was the Baron's ring. She slipped it on her thumb and went on with her work, dressing the fish as nicely as she ever could. Then the little girl served it up prettily with parsley sauce and with butter. Well, when it came to the table, the guests liked it so much that they asked who the host who cooked it. And he called to his servants, "Send up the cook who cooked that fine fish, that she may get her reward." Well, when the girl heard she was wanted, she made herself ready, and with the gold ring in her thumb, went boldly into the dining hall. And all the guests, when they saw her, were struck dumb by her wonderful beauty, and the young husband stared up gladly. But the Baron jumped up angrily, and he looked as if he would kill her. So without one word, the girl held up her hand before his face, and the gold ring shone and glittered on it, and she went straight up to the Baron and laid her hand with the ring on it before him on the table. Then the Baron understood that fate had been too strong for him once again. So he took her by the hand and, placing her beside him, turned to the guests and said, "Everyone, this is my son's wife. Let us drink a toast in her honor." And after dinner, he took her and his son home to his castle, where they all lived as happy as could be forever afterwards. The end. This story was amazing, and I hope you all enjoyed watching it. Thank you for watching.